Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Today, I'm here in Mexicali, Mexico, border town to Calexico, south of the border. And I decided to come here to be able to give you guys a comparison of another video that I did a couple weeks ago regarding a $73 breakfast. Now, if you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend you go watch it. I think it has some useful information for you to watch out in the future, because unfortunately a lot of restaurants in the United States and other parts of the country are actually ripping people off, especially if you do not check with your waiter or waitress or the restaurant itself. You can definitely get ripped off with a lot of pricing. Now that particular video, the $73 receipt, there was some items that were definitely overcharged. Plus, for that plate that they paid for breakfast, it was inflated. Not only did they charge a la carte to be able to add some carne asada to the chilaquiles that they ate, but on top of that as well, there was also a charge to be able to use the credit card. There was a percentage. So unfortunately, a lot of these restaurants, they are getting very creative on how they can be able to suck more money away from the consumer. So like I said today, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a breakdown as to how much I'm paying for the meal here today. I'm going to try to replicate some of the food that was ate over in the US, and I'll give you guys the pricing as well. Also, another thing you guys have to worry about too is make sure that when you go ahead and you do decide to pay for your meal, usually the merchants, they do give you two receipts, one for the merchant and one for the consumer. Make sure that if you do decide to give them a tip, that you take the other receipt with you, because I have heard recently of scams where the waiter or waitress will actually modify the second receipt that is not filled out, and they'll put in a different tip and they'll forge your signature on that second receipt. And so a lot of the times what ends up happening is maybe they'll put $1 or $2 more on the tip without you noticing, and they'll forge your signature, and automatically you will pay more for that meal. So just be out on the lookout for that. Again, stay tuned. I'm going to go ahead and provide you here shortly of a breakdown of what I'm paying for my meal here, and give my final conclusion as to my opinion to this whole situation. All right, guys, I'm going to show you a little bit of the pricing here in Mexico. This is my chilaquiles plate with eggs and carne asada. I know there will be an extra charge for the carne asada because that's not a normal order. So this is the eggs. The chilaquiles. And carne asada. These are the tortillas right here. I was not the one that ordered the $73 breakfast, but this food is really good. It's authentic, and you can tell that it's real fresh. Carne asada. All right, guys, I'm pretty full. Just finished eating breakfast here. Today is actually Father's Day, so there was quite a bit of people at this place. It's a little bit outside of the actual cities. Today there was just an abnormal amount of people. Now, I didn't finish the meal, and I think if you've seen other videos of mine, I have mentioned that I usually don't eat these types of foods. My daily routine usually involves eating smaller portions of food, better quality, either pre-packaged meals that I order from a third party, or if I do decide to make my own foods, they tend to be filled with better nutrients. But either way, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a side-by-side comparison as to what was spent today here. I actually thought that I was going to be spending a lot less than what actually ended up going through my credit card today. So we did end up getting two breakfasts here in Mexicali. Remember, this is a border town, which means that we are close to the United States. So the prices are actually going to be a little bit higher than what you would find probably southern Mexico. But still, even when I went to Guadalajara not too long ago, the prices for 2 breakfasts is somewhat similar to what I actually ended up paying here today. So we did end up getting a coffee. I got a nice tea. I did get an order of chilaquiles, just like the $73 breakfast. And I ended up getting a carne asada substitute, which was included. It was a little bit more to include that as well. And there was also a second breakfast, which was a combination plate, which also included chilaquiles and another machaca plate. So the total came out to 785 pesos, which is the equivalent of around $43. But I did end up adding a tip. It's actually $47.51 with the current exchange rate that we have right here in Mexico. It is 19 pesos a dollar. The peso has gotten stronger in the last month or so. It was around 20, and it seems like every single week that passes by lately, with the current situation that's happening in the United States, the peso is actually getting stronger against the US dollar. So right now, what I did notice too is that the actual cost per person was $23.76, which might surprise some of you people out there because we are under the impression that when you come to a place like Mexico, that the prices are actually going to be a lot cheaper, which, I mean, if you compare it to the $73 breakfast ripoff, it's about half of what you would be paying. And the food is actually better, in my opinion. I do think that the quality of a breakfast food here, breakfast meal that you would pay here, would probably be a lot better. The portions are going to be a lot better. The ambience is going to be a lot better. And another thing that you have to worry about when you are in a foreign country is to make sure that if you do end up paying with the credit card versus the actual currency, you will get a better exchange rate once they convert the exchange rate with the credit card. But you have to make sure that you pay with the card that doesn't charge foreign transaction fees. Those foreign transaction fees can be somewhere between 2 to 3% of whatever the full bill is. Because I know that sometimes these restaurants, they go ahead and they automatically suggest to you how much the total is in their currency versus the USD. And if you do pay in USD, their exchange rate on the receipt is actually weaker than what you would be paying if you decided to exchange it at a money exchange place here locally, versus here they got you at 18. So again, that way restaurants, they're able to make a profit off of you that way. So like I said, make sure that if you are in a foreign country that you follow these rules to be able to save a little bit of money. Almost $50. And this is in Mexico, where the average working person, okay, is probably making a couple dollars an hour, maybe $3 an hour. I think the average person here is probably pulling maybe around $1,000 a month, maybe. How can they afford to be able to pay almost $50 for a Sunday breakfast? So this just gives you an example of how messed up this world is, where the average person in Mexico cannot afford to eat a breakfast like this unless they go out of their way and spend money that they don't have. And we really hope that this doesn't happen in the United States, because that is the way that everything is going into the US. It's starting to happen the same way, where you have the haves and have-nots. And if things continue to increase the way they are, and they're talking about increasing the gas tax in California and possibly other states, things are going to start going up in price. Inflation continues to ravage the average American household. People cannot afford to be able to properly pay. I was telling people around me that it doesn't matter how broke people are right now. Maybe you see restaurants full, you know, on Father's Day or on Mother's Day or any other special holiday. You still see a ton of people out there having fun, going out to places, spending money they don't have. This is just all too common, because people still find a way to be able to dig themselves into a hole with credit card debt, or borrowing loans from their homes, or doing car title loans, or finding ways to be able to extract money from the few assets that they currently hold to be able to continue living lives that they can't afford. So, and that is actually something that still happens even in countries like Mexico, but it's not as popular because the interest rates are just ridiculous in countries like these, where you get a personal loan of any kind, or a home loan or an auto loan, and you're looking at interest rates well into the 40-50% range sometimes, just to be able to get a personal loan, or even auto loans. It's very common for people to get a home loan over 15-20%, or even auto loan at those rates. So that's the reason why people here, usually when they do buy something, they tend to purchase it in cash, or they tend to build their homes over time and not pull out a mortgage. So those are the things that I've seen. Comment down below on what you think of today's breakfast receipt, where you think I probably could have improved. I know that it's probably going to be shocking for some of you to see how expensive it is to be able to eat here. And I do think that more and more places in the United States are, getting smarter about charging people for using their credit cards as well. Here, I paid with a credit card that I'm going to get rewards points on, and they didn't charge me an extra fee. Now, one of the things too that I have noticed here, obviously in the US, when you pay with a credit card, is they'll take the credit card, they'll leave, and they'll come back, and then they'll say, okay, I charge your credit card, and you don't get to see the server swipe it. Here in Mexico and other parts of the world, usually they bring the terminal to you at your table, so you never lose sight of your credit card. So that's actually very common in other parts of the world, versus in the US, we tend to trust that the server is actually not going to misuse that information once they take it. So be very privy of that too. I think that you could possibly request for the server to bring the terminal to you in the US. If that's a possibility, I do think that that actually would be a good idea, especially if you're using a debit card, because if they do take money from your debit card, it's harder to be able to get that money back from the bank, versus if you use a credit card to pay and someone steals that information, that's not your money that you're using. So you can actually go ahead and dispute it, and you'll get a credit back on your credit card. It's easier for you to be able to use other people's money at the moment. As long as you have the ability and the discipline to be able to pay these fees before the due date, so that you don't incur extra interest and charges from these credit cards that still make a lot of money from all the merchants. So try to find ways to be able to not get into credit card debt right now, and make sure that if you do decide to go out to eat this Father's Day, that you go ahead and do it responsibly without incurring additional fees and interest, so you can go ahead and sleep well at night. So that's all I have for you guys right now. Thank you for continuing to watch my videos. I appreciate all of you. Please comment down below on any other ideas that you guys may have. I know I've gotten a couple of these videos that I've done are actually ideas that come from my subscribers. And I will continue to provide you guys good content that I think will make you guys a better person. Stay tuned and take care. And I'm actually about to go to edit the video for you guys. But I just wanted to show you that right now, nowhere are we safe from businesses going out of business and shutting down their doors. So this place right here used to be a sports cantina, and it's gone. So this gives you a prime example of how no one is immune to going out of business. It looks like they're doing some sort of construction. I do remember that this was actually a bar. A couple months ago, I do remember seeing this place open. But right now, unfortunately, I think that they didn't have enough business to continue operating. I remember the last time there was no people here hardly. They actually used to have events where people used to come. They had a really large screen. You can come watch sports. and you can have good food, and it was always empty. So again, this is not just the US that's having these types of issues. This is going on all over the place.